Imagine watching a TV show where you're constantly questioning who the good guys and bad guys really are. That's Breaking Bad in a nutshell. And its brilliance lies in how it made us care about characters who are deeply flawed, morally ambiguous, and sometimes downright terrifying. Stephen King himself called it the best TV show of its era. And honestly, it's hard to disagree. But here's where it gets controversial. Who are the most compelling characters in this masterpiece? Ranking them is a tough task because everyone brings something unique to the table. The show's enduring impact stems from its complex characters. They aren't simply heroes or villains. They grapple with difficult choices, often blurring the lines between right and wrong. One minute you're rooting for them, the next you're screaming at the TV. They evolve, sometimes for the better, often for the worse, and their actions have ripple effects throughout the entire story. And this is the part most people miss. The ranking isn't just about who we like, but about who has the biggest impact on the narrative and undergoes the most significant transformation. While the top 2 spots might be obvious, the rest is open for debate. Get ready to possibly reevaluate characters like Marie Schrader and Skyler White. Let's dive into a ranking of every main Breaking Bad character, starting with 11, Todd Alquist. Todd Alquist, portrayed brilliantly by Jesse Plemons, is a silent harbinger of doom in Season 5. Without Todd, the fates of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman would be drastically different. Initially, he's the seemingly polite and helpful assistant. He's eager to learn the cooking process. But then comes that moment, the cold-blooded murder of a child who witnessed their train heist. It's a shocking, definitive moment that reveals Todd as a remorseless sociopath, willing to do anything to eliminate loose ends. This act instantly makes him one of the most hated characters on the show. Todd's presence creates a domino effect, bringing his uncle Jack Welker and his neo-Nazi gang into the fold. He essentially becomes what Jesse could have become had Jesse lacked a conscience. He's a chilling glimpse into a dark future. Think about it. Todd's arrival signifies a point of no return for Walt, a descent into absolute darkness. Now imagine if Todd had been introduced earlier in the series. How much more chaos would he have unleashed? 10. Steve Gomez, Hank Schrader, as Walt's brother-in-law, naturally takes center stage in the Heisenberg investigation. But Steve Gomez, Hank's partner, is far more crucial than many give him credit for. When Hank is struggling with PTSD after his encounter with the cousins, Gomez is the one who steps up. He supports Hank and continues to pursue justice even when Hank is doubting himself. Gomez's loyalty and faith in Hank are unwavering, even when he suspects Hank might be getting too consumed by the case. Gomez is also one of the few genuinely decent people in the entire show. He's a dedicated professional who values his job and strives to do it well. Crucially, when Hank proposes using Jesse as bait to catch Walt, Gomez is the one who expresses concern for Jesse's safety, highlighting his empathy. He cares about Jesse's well-being, despite all the trouble Jesse has caused. It's this unwavering loyalty that ultimately leads to his tragic demise. He stands by Hank to the very end, refusing to abandon his partner. A true friend indeed. 9. Walter White Jr. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. The internet loves to joke about Walter White Jr. and his insatiable appetite for breakfast. But beneath the breakfast memes lies a crucial role. While Jesse Pinkman represents the emotional core of Breaking Bad, Walt Jr. embodies a sense of normalcy within the chaotic world of Walt and Skyler. He's a constant reminder of what they should be focusing on: family, stability, and a regular life, not the drug empire they're building. Simple things, like sitting down for breakfast, become increasingly significant as the show progresses. They highlight the growing disconnect within the White family, especially as Walt becomes more and more alienated. Walt Jr. is a typical teenager trying to navigate life, and he's devastated by the revelation of his father's secret life. The moment he realizes Walt has killed his uncle is particularly heartbreaking. It signifies the irreversible destruction of the White family dynamic. 8. Marie Schrader. Marie Schrader's initial appearance might not be the most flattering. She can come across as self-absorbed and superficial. However, Marie undergoes a significant transformation throughout Breaking Bad, revealing principles and values that are often overlooked. She deals with her own personal struggles, such as compulsive shoplifting, and she's a constant source of support for Hank after he's shot. She also shows genuine concern for her sister, Skylar, and the entire White family. Beneath the sometimes off-putting exterior, Marie is one of the strongest characters in the series. She might not always say or do the right thing, but her heart is always in the right place, and she consistently shows up for the people she cares about. By the end of Breaking Bad, it's hard not to feel sympathy for Marie. She's devastated by Hank's death, and her relationship with Skylar is strained by Walt's actions. She's caught in a web of drama that she never deserved to be a part of. 7. Saul Goodman. Besides Walt and Jesse, who's the most memorable character from their very first appearance? It has to be Saul Goodman. The slippery lawyer who helps Walt and Jesse navigate the criminal underworld became an instant fan favorite. Bob Odenkirk's performance is brilliant, delivering some of the show's funniest and most quotable lines. Saul was originally intended for only 4 episodes, but his popularity led to an expanded role and eventually his own spin-off show, Better Call Saul. While Saul is always entertaining in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul provides a deeper exploration of his character, his past as Jimmy McGill, and his life after the events of Breaking Bad. This is why he's lower on the list than some might expect. Make no mistake, Saul is still sensational, particularly for his comedic relief. He has a unique ability to diffuse tense situations and make viewers laugh, no matter how dire the circumstances. 6. Gustavo Fring. Gustavo Gus Fring is one of the most chilling villains in television history. He's not loud or physically imposing. He's unremarkable. If you passed him on the street, you wouldn't give him a second glance. He blends perfectly into his role as the owner of Los Pollos Hermanos, appearing as a polite and professional restaurant manager. But beneath that calm exterior lies a ruthless and unforgiving killer. Gus didn't become the head of the largest drug cartel in the Southwest by accident. He's always one step ahead, and he knows exactly when to cut ties. For Gus, if you no longer serve a purpose, your time is up. His partnership with Walt and Jesse was never meant to last, and it eventually reaches a breaking point when Walt realizes that the only way to protect his family is to eliminate Gus. However, Gus is too intelligent to fall for any conventional traps. Walt has to think outside the box and enlist the help of an old enemy to finally defeat him. Even in death, Gus is iconic. His final scene, where he adjusts his tie after half his face is blown off, is one of the most memorable in the entire series. 5. Mike Ehrmantraut. Mike Ehrmantraut is a jack of all trades. He's a cleaner, a hitman, an enforcer, a babysitter. Whatever the job, Mike is willing to do it. He's not particularly outgoing or charismatic, but he's reliable, efficient, and doesn't complain. What's remarkable about Mike is his ability to remain calm and collected in the face of extreme violence and horror. He's an invaluable asset in any high-pressure situation. Mike understands the nature of the criminal world. While he's fiercely loyal to Gus Fring, he recognizes that he needs Walt's help after Gus is gone. He pragmatically switches allegiances, even though Walt is responsible for his boss's death. Mike starts as a minor character, but quickly becomes essential to Walt and Jesse's operation. His death at the hands of Walt is a turning point for many fans, and it's the moment that finally made Bryan Cranston stop defending Walter White. Even in his final moments, Mike is stoic and unflappable. He chastises Walt for trying to apologize and asks to be allowed to die in peace. 4. Hank Schrader. Initially, Hank Schrader can be perceived as obnoxious. He's loud, rude, and boastful. However, beneath the surface, Hank is deeply devoted to his family and his career in law enforcement. You want Hank on your side, not against you, because he's relentless in his pursuit of justice. Hank undergoes a significant emotional journey throughout Breaking Bad. His confidence is shattered after he's nearly killed, and he questions his abilities as a man and a DEA agent. He eventually rediscovers his purpose and becomes obsessed with finding Heisenberg. The ultimate irony is when he discovers that the elusive criminal he's been hunting has been his brother-in-law all along. It's fascinating to watch how audience perceptions of Hank change from the first season to the last. Initially, you might root against him, hoping that Walt will evade capture. By the end, however, you find yourself supporting Hank, recognizing that Walt has gone too far and needs to be brought to justice. Hank's death is tragic, but he goes out with defiance and integrity. 3. Skyler White. The internet often portrays Skyler White as a villain, but consider her perspective. How would you react if your husband, whom you thought was dying of cancer, suddenly starts a drug empire that puts your family in danger? Skyler's reactions aren't so irrational when you consider the circumstances. Her relationship with Walt is complex, with both of them helping and hurting each other throughout the series. She makes mistakes, but it's difficult to judge her given the unpredictable situation she's in. Skyler and Walt had pre-existing issues before his cancer diagnosis, and they might not have been a perfect match. However, Walt bears a significant responsibility for his choices, as does Skyler when she becomes complicit in the money laundering scheme. Interestingly, the Breaking Bad writers considered killing off Skyler in Season 5, but thankfully, they didn't. She becomes a crucial catalyst in the story's trajectory and deserved more than to be fridged. Whether you love her or hate her, Skyler evokes strong emotions, which is essential for creating believable characters in television. 2. Walter White. As the main character of Breaking Bad, we witness Walter White's transformation from a terminally ill man seeking to provide for his family to a power-hungry and vengeful drug lord consumed by greed and madness. It's an arc that no one could have predicted when we first saw Walt in his tidy whities in the pilot episode. How does a mild-mannered family man become Scarface? Well, the show's title is Breaking Bad, so it delivers on its premise. Walt's story is a study in morality and corruption. While he initially claims to be acting for the sake of his family, he loses himself along the way, becoming addicted to power. He constantly pushes the boundaries, seeing how much more he can acquire. Like Icarus, he flies too close to the sun. In the end, Walt admits his true motivation. He didn't enter the drug business for his family. He did it for himself. It made him feel alive and powerful. While he amassed more money than he could ever spend, it cost him everything that truly mattered. His family. 1. Jesse Pinkman. Breaking Bad might be Walter White's story, but Jesse Pinkman is the show's heart and soul. Walt initially seeks out Jesse's help to enter the drug business, and in doing so, he irrevocably changes Jesse's life. Yes, Jesse makes a lot of money and gains power alongside Walt, but he also endures horrific tragedies, including the deaths of Jane Margolis and Tomas Cantillo. Jesse wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's heartbreaking to witness the impact of these events on him. As power corrupts Walt, Jesse becomes the moral compass of Breaking Bad. He frequently expresses his desire to leave the game, begging Walt to take his money and walk away. However, Jesse is constantly pulled back in, either out of loyalty to Walt or through Walt's manipulation. Jesse serves as a reminder that power and money are ultimately meaningless. Who you are as a person and how you treat others are far more important. Jesse makes mistakes, but he acknowledges them and strives to become a better person. How many other characters in Breaking Bad can say the same? So, there you have it. A ranking of the main Breaking Bad characters. But what do you think? Do you agree with this list? Who would you rank differently, and why? Let's discuss in the comments below.